Welcome back, everybody, to another new episode of A Whole New World, where we're here to put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. I am your beautifully good-looking host, Jacob New, and I can say that because most of you can't see me, so hey. And as always, it is time for everybody's favorite part of the week, the dad joke of the week. So here it is. What do you call it when a bunch of apes start a business? Monkey business. Oh, jokes. We got those. So my kids just stared at me the other day when I told them that one. It was great.
Not surprised.
I know. We are very lucky to have on the show again Mr. Robert Griffin, former undercover detective and serial entrepreneur. So,
thank you so much for having me here, Jacob. I couldn't wait to get here when I found out I was going to be on your show. By the way, like and subscribe to his amazing show. He's got amazing content.
Well, thank you very much. And like I said, it is my pleasure to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit, what are some of the... I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that sometimes, y'all. So first off, did you know about today?
You mean beside it being the 28th of January, 2020?
Yeah, today is National Kazoo Day. I did not know that until about 5 minutes ago. I didn't know that was a thing. I did not either.
Where'd you get that intel? Because I don't know.
That's a good friend of mine. Yeah. And so you would think at school I would have had a whole bunch of kazoos. And yesterday was apparently National Bubble Wrap.
Bubble Wrap.
Yeah.
Well, we could totally bring back the kazoo thing. We could be rocking that tomorrow and be like, you guys missed out.
Yeah. I'll post-date a picture or something. But,
we could do that.
You know. I do want to take a moment and, this weekend was tragic. Lost Kobe and his families. My heart goes out to all those families out there. So I just want to take a quick moment and just say, man, I just feel bad, and my heart goes out to all the families and people that are affected by this. So
a horrible tragedy. I was listening to the radio when I was coming in here, and they were talking about what had actually happened. You know, it was a weather condition thing. Did you hear the intel about how
it was something about a fog?
It was really
that's all.
It was
I knew.
Lack of visibility,
yeah.
And they have several ways they navigate with either instruments or by vision. Mm-hmm. And the instruments were not working properly, so he tried to do it by vision, and the pilot got confused. And apparently, according to the news, this is not validated, but they said they flew into a mountain at about 70 knots at 1,700 feet up.
Wow.
So the chance of survival was pretty much minuscule.
But, slim. Man,
yeah.
That is awful. And, I'm a school teacher. And so on Monday we took time and talked about it with my kids. And it really gave an appreciation for... They came in and they're like, man, I hate Mondays. I'm like, listen, y'all, there are 8 people that don't get to be on a Monday right now. Like,
right.
Be grateful for what you got. And so... man, I'm grateful for today.
Me too, brother. You know, I was going to do a Facebook Live tonight. In fact, I still will, but I'll give you guys a little insight of my topic. And I've actually thought this one out. Usually I don't think them out. But I'm going to call it the day before. Because people don't understand. Like I think, like to your point, Jacob, people, they assume they're going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the day before a tragedy, no one knew the tragedy was coming. More often than not. Like think about September 10th, 2001.
Yeah.
Right? You know the day before the Boston bombing, the day before, the mass shooting in El Paso, the day before the concert in Las Vegas where 58 people were killed by some psychotic gunman. They were there just to enjoy.
Yeah.
The people at 9/11 were just going to work. And they didn't realize that this was their last day. When I was a police officer, I would show up on crime scenes and I remember thinking to myself, going, did this person know that today was going to be their day?
Yeah.
And it would just give me chills. And so I think so many people, they take tomorrow for granted, and it's not guaranteed, not for any of us.
No, not at all. And so, I'm, like I said, I'm grateful for today, for me to be alive. I'm grateful for everybody out there that you are able to go out and make a difference in somebody's life, because whether we we just by smiling at somebody, you can touch somebody's life, and we all leave an impact or an impression on others. Man, some deep stuff right off the bat.
Yeah, that's how I roll, man. But we're not going to be all negativity and sad. We're going to be happy and rainbows now.
So one thing that I admire about you is we've worked together in a couple multi-level marketings.
Yes.
But you're also you were an undercover detective and from the great city of Las Vegas, man.
Yeah, man. I have my catch line is I always, when I'm talking to a crowd, I go, say what happens in Vegas
stays in Vegas.
And well, I said, if you met me, you also stayed in Las Vegas. And so, working as an officer in Nevada, we in law enforcement would call it a target-rich environment.
Uh-huh.
Like you can step out of your house, throw a rock, and hit someone who's breaking the law in Las Vegas. And anyway, so I started my career just like every other officer does as a patrol officer. You get hired, you go cut your teeth in patrol, which is contrary to most people's belief. We don't drive around and try to give people tickets. And no, we do not have quotas. That's a myth.
Quotas at the end of the month?
That's a myth, okay? In fact, more often than not, when we're behind you, we wish you'd get the hell out of the way so we can get where we're going, but you guys get all nervous when we're behind you, and you put your hands at 10 and 2, and you drive right exactly the speed limit, and that's very annoying to the cop behind you.
Okay.
So it prefer just put your blinker on, change lanes, and get out of their way so they can get where they need to go. Anyway, so I did patrol for 3.5 years, where you see a whole lot of crazy. And this is one thing that really helped me, I guess, galvanize my appreciation for today, was just seeing so many people that are going, they don't call the cops when things are good or going on, right? 911 it's typically not a happy story when you get there. And so it really did reinforce for me. That's one of the reasons why I'm still happily married. In fact, in March it'll be 19 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so because I learned, man, this is so bad and I have it so good. Even when challenges come my way, it was like it's better than being dead, or what a lot of other people are going through, right? So patrol for that length of time, made detective. I did financial crimes for about 1.5 years, and then in 2008 I went undercover, worked undercover in Vegas for 6 years.
Okay.
And boy, do I have stories there.
I can only imagine some of the stories.
Yeah, but to your point, I got involved in network marketing back in 2009.
Okay.
And I had hated network marketing. And mostly because I just didn't understand it. And I think a lot of people who hate it, they just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And started doing that as a very part-time basis. But, man, within 3.5 years, I had built it to the point where it had replaced my detective salary, and it gave me the option to choose to go do something else. So we decided to go full-time. And I wanted to move to give my children a better world to grow up in. Sin City's not that place.
What? That would have been my number one choice.
No. And so how did I end up in Texas? I Googled what are the top 10 places in America to raise a family.
Okay.
And would you believe 5 out of 10 were in North Texas?
That's what's up.
And I said, what? So we came here on vacation, fell in love with Texas right away, and I said, let's do it. So we moved, and we've been here now almost 5 years now. 5 years.
Dude, we're glad to have you, man. And so, one of the things we wanted to talk about, and I think your background lends itself to this excellently, is daily discipline. And a lot of times we set goals, and we don't have that. We lack the discipline, so we don't get it. The New Year's goals, I always think people, I'm going to lose weight, but it's not just going to the gym. It's also adjusting what you eat. And this past Sunday, my pastor had a wonderful sermon. Just on that alone, how we can set these goals and we think we have to do these giant leaps, but it's all just a series of little disciplines that you do, little successes that build and build and build until you reach your final goal. And his example was going to the moon. Like, it didn't just, boom, I'm going to go to the moon, and then just happen. All these little things had to happen first before it that people didn't see. And so for me, I know growing up, I learned discipline through Boy Scouts, and I got to the rank of Eagle Scout by 16.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
Awesome.
And I even earned, many people don't know this, but after Eagle Scout there, you can continue earning merit badges, and you can get additional awards called palms. And so I was able to earn 3 palms. But a lot of people don't reach that rank of Eagle Scout because they don't have that discipline. They don't do the daily what they need to daily to reach there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious, what are some disciplines that you've learned through your various careers that have helped you and that you might even still be doing now today?
Well, 100%, I'm still doing it today. And man, when you were formulating this question, all these things started racing into my mind. Quotes from Jim Rohn, quotes from Danny Bay, one of my amazing mentors. And I have so much to give you, but I'm going to try and not give you all of it. They say the best way to teach someone nothing is to show them everything, right? And so I guess my biggest take on goal setting is, for one, they have to be practical. Mm-hmm. But also, like Les Brown said, he says the thing with goal setting is it's not that most people aim too high and miss. It's most people aim too low and hit, and then they settle, right? Because that's what happens to a lot of us. We get our job and our career, and then we adjust our dream to fit our reality. And I think that's where most people are today. Like, if you go out there right now, we're in downtown Dallas, and if you go out there to the 635 right now, you'll see a sea of red lights of people who are driving home from a job they hate.
Yeah.
And they're miserable. And because they have settled. And it's sad, because you don't have to settle. So God put us here to be prosperous and to be fruitful and multiply, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have a lot of money so you can bless others, So my advice to the listeners would be, set a goal that's measurable, and then make sure you do this one simple thing. This is key, because I was not good at what I did. Yeah. I was really bad at it. In fact, what I lacked in skill, I just made up for in numbers. But one thing I always did, and I always focused from week to day to month, is I always move the needle. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what that is. And it can be an incremental thing. It could be a big win. It could be small wins. But no matter what, before my head hits that pillow, I have moved that needle in the right direction somehow, some way. And one more thing that Jim Rohn, I don't know if your listeners are into Jim Rohn. I'm a big fan.
I love Jim Rohn. Yeah.
Rohn, by the way, Jim Rohn. Anything he has on YouTube is pure gold. In fact, I think it should be required education for all children. Mm-hmm. He talks about goal setting and how you can go ahead and change your life. And he says, but when you're writing down your list of goals, is write down everything. Yeah. Even the minuscule stuff, because there's nothing more rewarding than crossing it off, checking it off, right? And so if you check off some goals, even the little ones, like fold my laundry, get it all done this week, check off, then reward yourself. Yeah. And if you did not accomplish something this week, then punish yourself. To some degree, I'm not not like flog yourself. Yeah, no, but, we'll have no flogging. But anyway, and so I guess the whole idea would be is set a goal, make your goals measurable. There's a really cool acronym out there. I think SMART goals. You probably do you know this one? Yeah. And if you make them smart,
specific,
measurable,
accountability.
Yes, I think so. I don't know.
I forgot what.
Google it. SMART goals.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's a meme out there somewhere. And trackable. Anyway, and then and here's the biggest piece: get yourself a good accountability partner, because you and I suck at being our own boss. I'm speaking to you, the listener, and Jacob, my good friend here.
It's true.
Because you need someone like he has an amazing wife. I have an amazing wife. Mm-hmm. I tell everybody I live with a 5-foot-tall dictator named Chica, and she keeps me in check. And my keeps me humble too, because people are like, "Hey, you did great," and I go home and she tells me I suck and I did bad at this and this and this. So I'd be like, get yourself a good accountability partner who can give you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Yeah. So I think what are those SMART goals again?
So the SMART goals, we looked it up. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based.
Time-based is key.
Yes. Set a specific date.
If you don't have a date, it's a dream. It's not a goal. Mm-hmm. So you got to have a date.
I'll get it done sometime. That doesn't work.
Yeah, another one of my mentors, Kurt Ludlow. He always say most people live on an island called Someday.
Yeah. It's an awful island.
It's an awful place to live. Yeah. And again, those are those people who've given up. Oh, someday I'll change.
I'll do it tomorrow.
But like Jim Rohn says, if you're not happy with your life, move. You're not a tree.
Yeah. No, I love that. And this week, the quote, I do a week, a quote for my kids every week, like trying to keep them motivated. But it's basically, if you want something to change, is what it boils down to. You have to start making a change. So what is your what are you going to do? You want something different? You have to, if you want to be somewhere else, you get up and you move. You have to start making those changes. And so starting by setting a goal, but then you actually have to go out and do something. You can't just, I set my goal, now it's going to happen. No. You got to do something, you know?
No, the world responds to deserve, not to need.
Yeah.
You have to deserve it. And how do you deserve it? You go out there and you put the work in. Like, Danny, one of my amazing mentors, I was just chatting with him earlier today, and he talks about how you can't change your life overnight, but you can change your direction in an instant. Do you know that if you are in a flight from Los Angeles to New York and the pilot is off by 2 degrees, you end up in Florida?
No, I did not.
Right? And so, like, such a small incremental change, but the destination is thousands of miles apart, right?
Yeah.
And so, like if I, you get started in your little side hustle, which everybody, by the way, you should have a part-time business.
Oh, yeah.
For tax purposes and every other reason under the sun, which I could talk to you later if you're interested. But you should have a part-time business. And then work it incrementally. You're not going to change your night. Like when you go home tonight, you'll still be in the same house, still driving the same car, but you have changed that needle in a different direction.
Yes.
Like that flight from LA to New York. And what happens over time is that gap will widen and widen and widen. And if you do it long enough and hard enough, in a year or 2 years from now, your life will look completely different than it did when you first started that decision that said, I'm going to go do it.
And here's where I'm thinking discipline really comes into play, because you said long enough and hard enough. And on that journey to whatever your goal is, you're going to have those speed bumps, you're going to have those trials, and you can't just give up when the first bad thing happens. You can't give up when the second bad thing happens. I mean, you got to be disciplined, know that where I'm going to be in the next 5-10 years, if I keep doing what I'm doing, it's going to be completely different than if I wasn't doing anything, and so I think that's for me a big part of the discipline is just making sure that you keep going.
Well, that's 100%. That's it. You just got to make sure you keep your foot on the gas, move that needle a little bit every day.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be big moves. Any movement is better than what most people are doing, because most people do nothing.
Yeah.
And so if you're at least trying, you're way far ahead against most people who are just sitting on their couch.
Yeah.
Eating Cheetos, watching TV.
Yeah.
I have a funny quote I used to say when I would train from the stage. I say, most people will spend hours a week watching Empire, but won't spend minutes a week to go build one.
Yeah. No, and that's it's so true. And I was actually walking down the hallway the other day, and I was talking with one of the other teachers. Shout out to Ms. Box. Hey. But she was saying that she is not on social media. And I was like, what? Because you don't hear that anymore. And she was like, yeah, when you look and you see that you're wasting like 2 to 4 hours every day on social media, I mean, think about like everything that you could be doing during that time. And I'm like, wow, yeah. No, it's so true,
You'd be there's so much time that we waste, and it's so funny how this has changed us. When I say this, I'm talking about these smartphones.
The cell phones, yeah.
And they say that now children, even the students in your classroom, I think the average. I saw a quote, and granted I haven't verified this information, but I saw a quote that said the average fifth grader has already seen more images to this point in their life than the most people in previous generations would see their entire lifetime.
That would not surprise me.
Because think about it. I mean, before when we were kids, like especially myself, there was no internet, know. And if something happened in Canada, you wouldn't know about it unless you read it in the paper.
Yeah.
And, TV was not really we had TV, but that was not our priority. We were playing outside, And
that's, I feel like I'm a millennial, but I feel like we kind of grew up with the technology growing up, and so like I feel like I'm kind of like a mix. Like I'd go out and play, but I also had a nice balance of video games and
right.
TV too. But it's very interesting to see how kids are growing up now, and that's a lot of it's due to technology.
And being a parent of two, it's scary for me sometimes because I try my best to spend QT with my kids, but when I'm not with them, I know what their face is stuck in a gaming system or on YouTube, and there's a lot of filth out there.
Oh, yeah.
And, stuff that you and I didn't have access when we were young. Like, if we wanted to go find dirty stuff, you'd have go sneak into your friend's dad's room and find his skin magazine.
Yeah.
But like now, you can Google anything and find anything.
Yeah.
Always, and that's a little problematic, I think, for our children. In fact, there's a lot of apps out there that target our kids. When I was undercover, we would have detectives that would go online and pretend to be children. And you ever see that TV show called To Catch a Predator?
No.
Okay, well, look it up.
Not.
Okay, so basically what they do, they go online into chat rooms, and they pretend to be kids. And they'll pretend to be a 13 or a 14-year-old boy, and they go in there and they just chat. And then they have these sexual predators that would go in there and try to befriend and then set up dates with these kids.
That's so messed up.
But it happens. They just had a bust in Fort Worth. Google it.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed if you knew how many sex offenders are around just here in DFW and in your city too, by the way.
Yeah.
And we were doing these things, and you'd be amazed at who we caught. I caught a pastor. We caught a fireman, multiple school teachers.
Yeah.
Who were, you would think are there to protect and take care of our children, but they were victimizing them. And I'm not saying just those professions, lawyers, doctors, you name it.
Yeah.
And so I think as parents, as adults in this modern generation, you got to be very careful what you allow your children to see and touch. And there's a lot of apps out there that are just really bad. I can send you a list, and you could post it on your site.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would love to have that share with our listeners out there, so they can be careful as well. So be careful. It's stranger danger, but on the internet, if you don't know who you're talking to, probably shouldn't be talking to them,
Amen.
But you do bring up another interesting topic. So for me, in regards to discipline, you are a parent. How is it? How do you help develop that discipline, that stay with itness, with your children?
Well, for me, it's they say monkey see, monkey do, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it's about modeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times when children grow up and they come and they're in bad situations, I can tell you honestly, 99% of the time when I would arrest a child, they committed some type of crime and I was putting cuffs on them and taking them to juvie, almost 99% of the time they were in a broken home. Because mommy and daddy are screwed up, and mommy and daddy are your world.
Yeah.
Right? And when that's screwed up, it messes up their priorities, and all of a sudden now they wander and they try to go get into other things. Or maybe they're resentful and they're mad. And so I think to set up your children properly, and I'm not saying a single parent can't do this. You're just going to have to play both roles.
Yeah.
Okay? So God bless you, and I feel bad for you, but God, you can still make it, but you have to model that success. Because your children will do what you do, not what you say. And you have to just try to model that success. So that's one of the things I live by is my kids know that when dad gets up, he works from 8 to faint. Mm-hmm. And when mommy and daddy make a decision that we're going to do something, dadgummit, we go do it.
Yeah.
And so they have learned that. In our first network marketing company, an amazing company called ACN, we made a goal. We were going to become RVP. Yeah. Regional vice president, they call it. And, for the average couple, it's financial freedom once you get there. Not rich, but you don't have to have a job anymore, right? And so we were working our tail off, man. And whenever you get promoted to that rank, they do a little cool video. They put it on YouTube. And that's kind of like you made it to that rank, right? And so everyone gets their little walk. There's a little parade. They put you on a stage, and you talk, and you do this little speech. But then the company makes a video, and they put it on YouTube. I have never wanted to see something as bad as my video, right? Mm-hmm. It's like your little moment, right? Yeah. And I'm sitting at my living room table, and my little one is there. And back then, this was several years ago, so he was 9 years old, or 8.5 back then. And my video finally arrives in email. Comes from the corporate. Oh, here's from the marketing department. Here's the link to your video. Uh-huh. And I was so giddy like a schoolgirl, right? And I'm just sitting there like, and he's like, I'll never forget this day. He's like tugging on my shirt. He's like, Dad. He's like, Dad. And I'm like, dude, 6 years I've been waiting to see this video, and now you want me to come play Legos or what the hell, And I'm all engrossed, and I'm clicking link, and it's starting to spool. And he's like, Dad. And now the video starts, and I'm trying to pay attention, and he's like, Dad. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, and I kind of yelled at him, and I felt so horrible. And he goes, he looked at me, and he was just his biggest smile on his face. He goes, I just want to say thank you for not giving up. And I started crying like a little girl. And the moral of the story is they're watching you.
Yeah.
Your children are watching you. So go win and go win big. And don't teach them to quit, because if they see you give up, then they're going to give up.
No, and that's such a powerful example that you just shared with us. And I'm just thinking, like, it's not just kids, it's like people watching you. Even if they're hating on you, they're watching you.
Ain't that the truth?
You know? On my mind right now, I'm still I have the goal to lose 24 pounds by April 31st.
Awesome.
See, I'm being smart. I'm measuring it. Weighing
I like
myself
it.
every.
Who's your accountability partner?
I got a trainer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's writing my programming, and he gives me tips and keeps me going. So but and so I'm taking these steps, but because I know in the future, like, what kind of a person do I want to be? I want to accomplish my goals. I say I'm going to lose 24 pounds. I'm going to lose 24 pounds. So I'm also adjusting my diet, but I'm also thinking, like, what kind of example am I? Not only I don't have kids, but I've told my class this too. Mm-hmm. So I have all these, like, 48 fifth graders that know that I am. Classes. Sorry, I don't have 48 fifth graders in one class. But
I was gonna say, damn, man, that's tough. I knew you were already underpaid. Now you're grossly underpaid.
But they know, and they're seeing, and, like, when we do morning circles, they're like, Mr. New, how you doing on your goal? I'm like, I'm doing all right. So I've lost 5 pounds so far.
Kudos, man.
Thank you.
Well, this is a good thing when you're talking about parenting, right? This is one of the things, the reason why my children were so engaged is we got them engaged.
Yeah.
We said, look, guys, we sat down, we had a real good talk. So, look, Mommy and Daddy are going to sacrifice for the next few years. And we're going to work really hard. And when we achieve this goal, I'm going to take you and your brother on a dream vacation.
Yeah.
We're going to go some awesome place. We'll help you guys choose. You can actually pick if we're going to a fancy beach, or if we're going skiing, or whatever you want to go do. But get them enrolled in your vision, and then you would be amazed. You think your trainer's going to hold you accountable?
Yeah. Okay.
Wait till you tie a prize to a child. They're going to hold you accountable. Mr. New, you better hurry up and lose that weight because we're getting our new prize. They will be all over you.
Getting
way more than your trainer.
Oh,
yes. So my point, get your kids involved, and they will push you when others won't.
Yes. Oh, man. No, and that is so true, and they'll be your biggest supporter and motivator. I'm not gonna lie, I just lost my train of thought because I just got really excited. Speaking of discipline and losing weight, I saw that The Biggest Loser comes back tonight. I'm so excited. Sorry, side note on that, I just went off into the weeds, but I'm so excited because I love those transformational and, like, I love to see the people stick with things and to see them successful. And I remember what I was going to say now. It goes with that because here's what one success does. It lets you know you can do it. And then possibilities start to open up. You stick with it long enough. Okay, you did that. Now what else can I do? And before you know it, look at all the things that you've done in a month. All the things you've done in half a year.
Well, see, everything's impossible until someone does it. Mm-hmm. And we've all heard the story of Guy Bannister, right? He was Guy Bannister? That's not his name. That's a guy from a movie. Anyway, the guy who, someone on the list was like, Guy Bannister? That's from JFK. But anyway, some dude, if our assistant can look it up, who was the first guy to break the 1 minute mile? You guys know what I'm talking about?
1 minute mile, no.
Okay, to physically run 1 mile in less than a minute.
That what?
I've heard
of a 4 minute mile.
There was
I
a
didn't
dude.
know about a 1 minute.
Oh wait, maybe it's a 4 minute mile.
Okay, I was like 1 minute.
Talking about losing,
like,
yeah, that's impossible.
Are you
I think
Sonic
it's a 4
the
minute. Yeah. Anyway, and so I'm totally screwing this story up, but go Google it. Some dude broke the record to maybe a 4 minute mile. Yeah. And I think our assistant has gotten as our producer. Right. What is it? What is the name?
Roger Bannister.
Roger Bannister. I almost had it.
Yeah, you're close, man.
Roger Bannister. It was a 4 minute mile?
It was, just under. It was. He was the age of 25.
And what year was it done?
It was.
Does it say?
Dude, what year do you think?
I was 60s maybe.
You're actually really close. It was 1954.
1954.
1954.
So prior to Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile, it was believed by scientists and doctors and everyone in the profession that it was physically impossible for a human being to do it.
That is insane.
Since he did it, there have been thousands of people who have broken that 1-minute mile, including children.
That is.
And so the whole idea is it's only impossible if you say it is.
It's a mind game. It's what you tell yourself.
100%. And so if you tell yourself what Henry Ford's quote, right? If you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right.
Exactly. No. Yeah. No.
Roger Bannister,
that's Roger
not Guy Bannister.
Yeah.
That's a.
And his time was 3 minutes 59 seconds.
That's crazy. So he was the first one to ever do it, but now thousands of people have done it because they just believe that it was possible.
Exactly, and hopefully somebody will actually do a 1-minute mile, which that'll be very impressive.
I don't think that's possible. Now, there I go again, limiting people, but
somebody's out there like, I'm going to show you.
Because I know that humans can only run so fast, right?
Yeah.
Even with the bears chasing you, they're not breaking that 1-minute mile.
No, not at all. Oh, man, that's crazy. No, but it is all about, like, what you tell yourself. And don't get discouraged. Stick with it. You can do it.
Well, here's one thing you mentioned earlier. You said haters.
Yeah.
So people like Rob, how'd you make it? How did you get to RVP? You know, because I was working 60 hours a week at my day job.
Yeah.
Working my side hustle above and beyond all that. And some weeks it was 70 hours a week. And yes, I wanted to win. I wanted the money. I wanted the notoriety. All that played into a part of the role. But what really motivated me more than anything else was my haters, because I had them in spades. I had an abundance of people that were hating on me, and I allowed it to burn a lot.
Yeah. And
like, give me, I said the strangest reference. Tackling fuel, right?
Water boy.
Water boy.
Yeah, I got it.
It's like tackling fuel, right? If you've seen Water Boy, you know what I'm talking about. And I would get so mad that I realized that if I gave up, they win. If I stopped, they win, and I'd have to be ridiculed by them. And so that motivated me. I would dare say even more than my own desire to win was I didn't want them to win. And so I'd say make 2 lists. Make a list of the people you're going to do it for, and make a list of haters, and let that sink in deep. And
here's my thing with that. I mean, like, who are you to sit there and tell me and judge me for how I'm living my life? Why are you hating? You're only hating on me because you're so dissatisfied with how your life's going right now. You're trying to pull me back down, you crab.
Crabs in the bucket. Oh, they're so bad.
Yeah.
In fact, my radio show, I have my own show, by the way, guys. It's called Bulletproof Mindset.
Yes.
Go to robandaleshow.com. You can look us up, like and subscribe there as well. And that all happened because I made a little video 2.5 years ago that went viral.
Yeah.
And it was called Bulletproof Mindset. And a good friend of mine helped me out with that video. And when he posted it on Facebook, it got like 10,000 views in the first week.
Yeah.
And then boom. And that's actually how I got invited to be a guest on a show, how I ended up starting my own show. And then, man, the rest is history.
It's crazy how one small action can lead to so many others. You just did a video.
Yeah.
And look at all the
I'm telling, and that here's the irony. That happens every day.
Yeah.
And most people don't notice it. Like, what are the odds that Rob and Chico would end up in Texas? Like, how many little things had to go perfect for all of this to happen? That's why I don't believe in accidents, man. God has a plan for you, for me, for the listeners that are listening to my voice right now and your voice right now. He has a plan that was ordained a long time ago for our steps. So we don't see it, and sometimes we don't understand it, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, and we're like, come on, Dad, what the heck?
Yeah.
But when you see it later in hindsight, you're like, oh my God, like, think about you and Trish and what all the little things that had to be perfect for you to meet her on that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then, like, for that to perspire, or not perspire.
Does she perspire?
Wow. I love you, babe. Love you lots. I'm sweaty. No, it's kidding. For things to go on forward after that, you
Correct.
know, it was a lot of different things. And you were saying how we don't always see the steps as we're making them. And I can't help but think, I don't know if today, for our listeners out there, it was pouring down on my way here, and I barely could see. And I'm on the highway going like 35. Well, not just me. Everybody's going 35, 40 miles an hour, but you couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, it just opens up, and you're like, oh, wow! It's so beautiful. Like the sun shining through, and it's such a great sight. And I think that's something we kind of have to do. We're all on our journey, and sometimes we're going through that pouring down rain, and we can't see 3 feet in front of us, or even like a foot. But then it will open up. You know? It
always does. And see, this is the last motivational quote I'll give you because I got thousands of them. Andy Andrews. He has a video. Do you know Andy Andrews?
It sounds really
Find
familiar.
out.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, I want you to go to YouTube. I want you to type in Andy Andrews, The Butterfly Effect.
That's where I know.
That's
okay, I was
the
like,
one.
I know Andy Andrews.
And,
okay.
and his mantra is, everything you do matters, and it matters every day, and it matters forever. Because one little decision that you make could impact thousands of people's lives. I mean, just think about like that, right? Like, if my dad hadn't met my mom, right, and then maybe Rob never exists, and then think, all the stuff that I've done, and they're all everywhere I've gone, and or maybe your parents didn't meet, and so there was no Jacob New, and so now all these children's lives are not going to be impacted because their favorite teacher New, is not there.
I know.
They'd be devastated. And my point is, and so if you haven't seen that video, do yourself a favor. It'll be the best 10 minutes you ever invested in your life. Go look it up.
Yes. No, definitely look it up. I will rewatch that tonight.
I watch it about once a month.
Yeah.
It's that good. It's really, really, really good. No, so make sure you go check it out. Look it up.
Definitely a thinker. I love these conversations. Every time we meet and talk, I enjoy it. So,
Andy Andrews is an amazing author. The guy was homeless. He lived under a bridge.
That is crazy. I feel like that's a common starting point for a lot of different authors. First thing that popped into my head was Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling. She was broke, and I think she was losing her house. She was losing everything. She had nothing, and then all of a sudden, just boom, he had success. But I feel like Charles Dickens. He wasn't popular until after he was dead. You know? But sorry, I just went off on that little. No, but here's spiel,
the reason why those people win. The reason why it took Rob and Chica being broke before we could win is because they have perspective. We have perspective. And see, most Americans don't have perspective. Most Americans, they come to the United States. They were born and raised here. And they live in the greatest country in the world, and they take it for granted.
Yeah.
Why is it that immigrants come here risking life and limb, and they come here and excel, but someone who's born and raised here can't win?
Yeah, I think definitely perspective, and I would think a mindset.
They're just and maybe it's entitlement. Yeah. Maybe they just don't realize the blessings they're surrounded. Like I tell people, the fish is the last one to notice the water because they're in it.
Yeah,
the fish doesn't understand the concept of water. It's just there and it's abundant, and they don't. But someone else who's thirsty, they're like, "Oh my God, water!"
Yeah,
right, and they would just drink. And I think that happens a lot here in the U.S., and that's why we have, a welfare state, and people want everything for free because they live in the greatest country in the world, and they take it for granted.
Yeah, no, and I agree 100% with that. And growing up in the States, I can say I'm guilty of that too. And through my travels and just different various experiences of my own, I definitely am developing a better perspective. But one person that comes to mind is Gary V.
Vanderchuck.
Yeah.
He's a monster. I love his stuff.
He is.
He's blunt.
Yeah, very blunt.
Yes.
But I love what he has to say, and he brings this, I want to say, tenacity and this work ethic that is, I think, unparalleled. But, man, time has really, flown by with us. And so I gotta ask, any closing remarks for our listeners out there as we fixing to wrap up? Is what I'm saying.
Last thing I will leave you with is simply this, and this is one of my favorite quotes: just stop pretending like you have 1,000 years to live, because you don't.
No.
Our time here is finite, and we never know when our day is coming. So live each day to the fullest, man. And if you have someone in your life that you love, tell them. Because you just never know. If maybe they're on a helicopter, or maybe, some bad juju goes down, or maybe they're in a traffic accident driving home from work. And so just tell them you love them. Don't take your days for granted. And do what Gandhi says, is just be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes, man, I love it. I couldn't say it any better than that. So thank you again for being a guest on the show today.
My pleasure, brother.
So, y'all, if you enjoyed this podcast, definitely want to check out Rob's podcast, the Bulletproof Mindset.
That's a Texas version. Yeah.
And of course, if you found some value in this, other people might find the value in it as well. So if you could please share this with whoever comes to mind, we appreciate it. Make a difference in somebody's life today. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, if you only learn to do one thing, learn to make a difference. Y'all have a good night.
God bless.